Well, one of them days. Well, one of them days. One of them days. Well, one of them days. Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Way Up Trading. Today, there's no words for today. There's no words for today in the markets. It's been just, if I could choose one word to actually describe it, just seasick. Up and down and up and down. The SPY just went completely ridiculous. Watching the markets today was just like having, just straight having seasickness. You can't put it any other way. After we got CPI data that came in slightly under what the expectations were, which is considered to be slightly bullish. It was the complete beat. We did have a year-over-year slight increase on the CPI, Consumer Price Index, and the markets just were unsure of exactly what direction to take. Right now, we're basically we had a close on the market here roughly at flat, completely no movement after yesterday's close into today, and Bears, Bulls, don't know which direction we're going. PPI is actually tomorrow, so we're going to keep a lookout on that to see what direction the market decides to actually take going forward. But for now, if you were involved in any trades, you probably felt it too. A lot of people actually were able to catch a few moves to the upside this morning, myself and also the group as well, the Way Up Trading group. However, things took a little bit of a turn after that huge nasty rip back down after hitting the 451 level. We're going to go and take a look at the charts, as well as take a look to see if there are any opportunities going forward to see where we are on this particular downtrend that we've been in after that mean bounce and back up and all of that good stuff. And if you're looking for the next week, we don't have any major data or any major news that's coming out next week that can deter the direction that's actually chosen after PPI. So we're going to take a look and look at some of these charts, go over one or two things here, some opportunities, and we're going to do all that and more right after this.
The market's crashing.
We're going to start with taking a look here at the 4-hour chart on the SPY. We're going to pull it up. SPY looks like, all right, taking a look here, we got the SPY pulled up on the 4-hour time frame. And this is basically what we've been working with for the last little bit. I'm going to actually pull out a little bit longer. I actually noticed Parker Technologies, I think it's Cameron was the original name that I saw. He might have changed his name after a little while. But he pointed out a particular trend line that I didn't even think to look at the time. So shout out to Cameron or Parker Technologies, whatever you're going by now. Appreciate the TA that you do, buddy. And taking a look here, the 4-hour chart, basically right now we're in a little bit of a retest of a trend line that he was able to point out. And we broke out of this trend line. This is basically from the lows of the SPY way back when, after bouncing off 350. Just the more touch points that actually connect are the more valid ones, in my opinion. But we'll take a look here. We got several touch points that actually touched, and we have actually broken out of this ascending triangle, or we'll call it a rising wedge in this case. Broke out of it in this accumulation style pattern on the SPY, broke out roughly at the beginning of January, start of the new year, starting a new bull market trend above this ascending wedge. From there, we actually started to form a bit of a bull channel that's been going on for a little while as well, playing both sides of it, and just more recently have fallen out of it to now go back and touch and retest this rising wedge on the macro chart, which brings us to more recent time. So now in the 4-hour, this bull channel has been broken. We have now formed a falling wedge that is retesting that breakout from the larger wedge that we talked about a moment ago. And we're going to zoom in a little bit closer to take a look and see exactly what's happening here, because it's a lot of indecision outside of the CPI data that took place today. 3.3 was expected, 3.2 is what we got. Still shows a slight increase in overall inflation. However, the trend has been on the downside ever since the last few months. This is basically the third CPI that we've seen a downtrend in the data, which is a bullish situation. However, the bears don't want to let go of the situation. Yes, the chart is right now a bearish setup. We do have a distribution style pattern that's going on here. We have 3 highs. You can consider this up thrust, sign of weakness, and then we're now starting to form a downtrend outside of this bull channel. Again, more so just a retest. However, it depends on how things go with PPI tomorrow before this actually bounces back up. So we're going to keep an eye on PPI. But just in terms of the action that took place today, it was just all over the place. You can see I have a triple top type of setup in this falling wedge pattern. Most of us been playing the back and forth between ping pong here, or between the tops and bottoms of the wedge. Basically 3 tops has been the range here, this box that I've drawn out. has been the range we've been trading in for the last several days, ever since about Monday, between the 451 mark and as low as about, as of today, was the lowest about 444.67 was the low of the day. So we have been bouncing back and forth between these two levels. We have a breakout point that actually was roughly broken out quickly this morning, but it was completely shot back down on this high volume wick early in the morning. But you can see we've also formed a triple bottom, which is also a bullish reversal. So triple top, triple bottom, nobody knows what they want to do right now. So it's a complete, it's anyone's guess until we actually get full details on what's happening in the market. But from now on, since the beginning of the week, it's been nothing but chop. So trading this chop has actually been very, very lucrative if you were able to catch the tops and actually witness this type of move. So we were able to catch several moves here on not just this stock, but a couple other ones. We were able to catch some of the ones that were selling off. Most of the gains that were gained on a lot of these heavily shorted stocks has completely been wiped out on this fall out of this bull channel in the market. Upstart down maybe about 100% of the gains that it actually picked up. I think it hit 70 something and it's down into the 30s or below 30 even at this point. Nikola all the way down from $3.70 almost now down to about $1.90. Neo, Carvana, all of these stocks that have ran and made major gains within this bull channel have all been pretty much wiped out for the time being. I mean, the list goes on. I can go through a bunch of them, but for the sake of argument here, we're going to just stick to what's going on with the SPY. So right now in this particular point, we're going to take a look at the 15-minute chart to see what the action has been looking like for this last several days. You can see just back and forth every day until recently. Yes, we are in a falling wedge type of pattern. Things are starting to get really tight. Again, we have this white line, which is the uptrend of the macro chart we talked about a few minutes ago, and we're right at the edge of tomorrow. If you're familiar with that song. All right, so in this case, we have we're waiting for PPI, and right now we are slightly in a buy type location. It all depends on what comes in. If we do get bad news, if it comes in a little harder than expected, I expect this thing to drop down and finish and complete the pattern that I've been looking at for the last couple of days, which is it is a bullish reversal pattern. However, it is in a bear setup after falling out of the bull channel, being a distribution style move, which may take a little while longer to play out. Just talking about my line patterns here, and you can just take a look at some of the moving averages. You can see my gray line is the smooth moving average that I use, which I have found a lot of utility in this one, and I've been talking about it every single day on most of my videos. However, you can basically see once this line was broken through, everything has been on the downside move. Yes, we are getting smaller and smaller iterations here. However, we have not been able to break back above this smooth moving average. Just slightly today, you can see how it blasted through when it actually broke through the smooth moving average, and it was immediately met with sellers to drop it right back. But that's the area we need to break if we expect to see more upside. In my opinion, we are starting to round out a bit overall, which is a good sign. Again, this is a falling wedge pattern, so it's pretty much anyone's guess. This is usually typically a reversal style pattern. When you see this falling wedge on lower and lower volume, it usually means that the price does want to bounce out. This may just be a retest for a larger move up to the upside. If we do catch bottom and we do catch a bounce off of positive news, we don't really have much news coming up next week, which is a good thing in my opinion for the market. We are basically meaning that whatever happens tomorrow with PPI is going to be the overall and domineering trend going into the next week. So in this case, right where we are is pretty much do or die. We either bounce off of this line, or when I say we bounce off this retest, which would have been the low today, roughly around 444, at lowest 443. I'm expecting for a quick move, and we go and start to go back up toward the 457 to 458 range, reclaim this bull channel we talked about a few minutes ago. If we do not, I would expect the downside to continue, and we'd be moving more toward the lower end retest to now move into the 430, 438 region, 435, and then lower into the lower edges here, roughly around the 430 to 432 range, which is where everything pretty much started earlier on June. So that would complete the distribution, and we basically probably bobble around there and potentially go lower as low as 420. So it all depends on what happens tomorrow. I mean, I've said it over and over again already, but I personally would still like to see this thing go up. I don't think we're at the end of the bull market just yet unless major news comes and hits the actual markets. Yes, you can call the credit downgrade, that is what started this sell-off. The credit downgrade was a big issue That's basically why we are where we are now. However, I do feel like it is starting to lose some of its edge over the markets, and we have a potential opportunity to reverse with the positive news that it seems to be coming out with the inflation data. So from here, we're just gonna have to see. We're gonna basically play the charts for what they are. I don't know if we're gonna do much trading tomorrow, but there are all other opportunities out there to the downside. If we do get bad news, oh yeah, it puts all day. We're gonna ride this thing to the downside. If it's iffy, we're gonna have to wait a couple minutes, maybe half hour to an hour, to see if there's any opportunities. There are opportunities every single day in the markets, but it all is dependent on what the index. If the indexes are moving positively, we play positive position. If the indexes are moving negatively or to the downside, we're gonna play downside, put position, short position, like that. So that's how we operate. All right, so I went ahead and turned on a few indicators here. Just gonna take a look, and you can see we are now back into a bullish momentum situation. After hours, we have a close roughly about 445.91 at the end of the day. After hours, a slightly moved back up, green, 0.09% positive right now. And right now we are above my level I have here. One of the actual levels here. Pattern, we are in a bullish shark style pattern on the 2-hour chart. It's basically kind of a do or die situation here, like I mentioned before. Hold above 46.27 can potentially bring higher levels if we can bounce off of here based upon the news that comes in. We're looking at the possibility of hitting our target one would be at 452.78. That'd be awesome if we can get that. If we do not get the positive reaction or get the positive details from PPI, we could expect the downside move. I have levels down here, like I mentioned before. 443.01 would be our first target, and if that fails, we're looking at the possibility of 440.93, which is right here coinciding with our smooth moving average here, which is roughly about 441 and change. So that's what we're looking at. That's what I'm going to be playing for the downside for the moment. We have our major crosses right now to the downside that happened way back when. 921 happened here. We have a golden cross, or a death cross, you can call this, to the downside. The 5th moving average is now crossed below 200 moving average. So again, it's anybody's guess at this particular point until we get the data. So right now, harmonic speaking, that's what we're looking at. We looked at the lines and trends that I can see here. Overall, mixed emotions. There's mixed situations here. But let's take a look at the moves that happened intraday. So intraday, we were looking at, we had a setup here, which was a bearish butterfly setup, meaning that volume wasn't really going along with us. We had a upside move out the gate off of PPI. We did go hit our major target here, which is pretty much on the nose at 451.55, which was our target. We were able to get some calls. I actually didn't play the SPY today, but a couple of team members actually did. They did okay with those, but we rejected very hard off that move up. Once the market decided that no, this is not going to be the breakout. It was a very short-lived upside, basically till roughly about 10 o'clock, about a 30-minute run before being just rejected all the way down to 444. I mean, whoever caught this move to the downside, was a very, very fortunate person. So we got the downside move completely all the way to the bottom here. We did also kind of catch this move back up because it just seemed a little bit too overextended. So we did play the upside here on SPY. It was faked out a couple of times, but they were able to get out profitably overall in the day. The bounce happened here roughly about 444.70. Bounced back up, kind of held, had a nice run up to roughly about 447.53, which is our target, which was retesting our target too, outside of the PRZ, the price reversal zone, right in this area after hitting target 2, and then basically kind of bobbled around a little bit going into the close. So major crosses took place this morning. If you wanted to play this thing this morning, you were able to pretty much see it just on the intraday move. You can catch the smooth moving average is holding support the entire way. You have 921 crosses in the morning, 1348 crosses pre-market. Got the news, everything came back, bounced off of the smooth moving average. Could have entered in your calls at open and would have blasted all the way through. You would have made a lot of money just playing the crosses all the way up because this thing was out the door bullish until it wasn't. And that's when everything changed. We came right back down. However, you could have caught this move all the way up until breaking the 9 EMA right over here, which is roughly about 450.85. Once you saw this weakness happen, breakthrough, you can see how my momentum indicators, this is JS trend candles. Very easy, very clear to see. You might want to add this to your charts as well. You can see once it broke the 9 EMA, it flips from blue to red. Things actually obviously look on the downside. Volume was also supporting a downside move. You can see the selling pressure. These red bars above the signal line or above the moving average started to pick up steam until it ran up hard. That would also be an indication to switch off or actually remove or get rid of your calls at that point because you knew downside was going to ensue. Even if you waited and held on, you would have noticed the 921 cross here, which is the yellow cross. which is the blue, and 21 EMA. 9 EMA is the blue, yellow is the 21. Once those two crossed over, downside was confirmed to continue. Even here, you could have gotten out. I wouldn't have advised it, but even here, you could have gotten out and noticed that you were now moving bearish, and you could have switched to the downside or played puts the entire way, which is even more lucrative move to the downside. You would have made some decent money just playing that downside move. That was roughly a 1% chain to the downside at the 921 cross there. So good opportunities all over the place to play this thing. You played it 1, 2, 3, even 4 times in 2 different directions, up and down on multiple occasions. And it's been like that for several days now in the SPY, where it wasn't just one single move. You might have been able to catch the moves on 2 to 3 different entries if you wanted to. Not saying to overtrade, however, the opportunities were there. Just understanding how moving averages, as well as being able to chart this thing out, because it was very, very clear to see. And the aggressiveness on the moves have been out of this world. So congrats if you're able to catch some of these plays. We're going to keep a look at the SPY and see what opportunities may be coming up next. But it all comes down till tomorrow when we get the PPI data to follow up on what happened today with CPI. Yeah, so basically that's what I'm looking for. So we're going to be wrapping it up here. Carefully in positions tomorrow. Jumping any calls tomorrow. Tomorrow is the big day. PPI is going to decide the fate of where the market moves over the next couple of days. Do pay attention to what's going to happen next. Actually, do 2 things. Consider liking and subscribing, and also leaving some comments at the bottom if you have any questions or comments or concerns on anything that we discussed in the video, any particular tickers on stocks you would like to see more details on, or TA wise. Also, if you're interested in joining a group that actually cares and wants to see you succeed in the markets, consider joining the Way Up trading groups. We have a lot of folks doing some really big things in the group, being successful, making our way up together, and making some money on these markets. Go ahead and take a look here. Link is down in the description for a free trial opportunity. Looking forward to catching you guys in the next video. Don't forget, consider liking, subscribing, comment, join the Way Up trading group. Catch you guys in the next video.